It stopped! Hi everybody, this is Clarissa from the Pink Spider Shop, and today I'm going to do a block print, and I'm going to show you through the whole process, from drawing to transferring it onto the rubber block, to carving, to printing, everything. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so this is the process of how I make a block print, or a lino cut, or a relief print. There's lots of different names, and that's one of the cool things about it. So I start out on this piece of tracing paper with a sketch, and I don't always use tracing paper, but it's really helpful when it comes to transferring. So I do the sketch of the design, and some people will draw out completely where the black and where the white spaces are going to be, and I'm sure that's really helpful for making really complicated designs. But for a simpler one like this, I kind of just kept in mind where I wanted the black and where I wanted the white to be. And then I traced over the lines with pencil, flipped it over onto the block, and just pressed and transferred it onto the block. So after that, I just jumped straight into carving, and I was keeping in mind where I wanted the white places to be, and so I'm just subtracting out wherever the light lines will be. So this block actually is a type of rubber that I hadn't used before. I got it on sale at the secondhand art supply store, and after using it, I probably won't use it again, because it really is the very flexible, bendy, rubbery texture of an eraser, which made carving it kind of difficult, getting small details, and weirdly, as I would carve out to the edges, it would stop cutting, and I think that was just because it was so flexible, it wasn't getting enough friction to actually cut it, but it was a good learning experience, and I think I got a pretty cool print out of this one. So after I'm done cutting the block, the next step is to make sure it's all clean, get my paper ready, and then I get out the ink, and I roll it really thoroughly onto the roller, or brayer as it is also called. I really don't know where that word comes from, and it reminds me of a donkey literally every time I think of that word. And a lot of people who use blocks with wood on the back will have a frame that they set their blocks down into, or maybe they'll clamp them in place. But since this is a really light, floppy block, I just kind of loosely secured it to my desktop with double-sided tape. And I have those tape lines around the outside to make sure my paper's lined up, because I've made a lot of crooked prints. And then comes my favorite part, when you put the ink on for the very first time and it goes from gray and you can see all your cool little black details for the first time. It's so exciting. And I actually cut out a blooper from this part, because after I cut the block, I got so excited to do it that I just whipped a piece of paper on there and started rubbing before I even put any ink on. And after a couple seconds, I was like, wait, this doesn't feel right. And I lifted it up. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't put any ink on. I was so excited. I had to jump right in there and skip a whole incredibly important step. So anyway, this tool that I'm using is called a baron. And that's another term that I haven't researched, so I don't know why it is called that. But it is a rubbing tool. A lot of printmakers will actually use a spoon or other tools similar to a spoon, where you can really rub in there and get in the details with kind of a smaller surface. But this is a special tool that actually my grandpa made for me on his lathe. And it's got a stone bottom, which is kind of heavy and thick, and then the handle part is wood. So the weight that the stone adds means that I don't have to press as hard when I'm burnishing like this. So what I'm doing is basically making sure I go every tiny little spot and make sure the ink gets everywhere it needs to be. And then my other favorite part is pulling the paper off the block, and the final print is revealed. And here, so I'm looking at a couple of spaces where I didn't cut down far enough. And I don't mind little bits sticking up. I think it gives it character, like little marks around the shapes. But there are some points where it's a little too much, and I would go back and carve it again to kind of clean those bits up. And so I just grabbed my tool back out and carefully, without, getting ink on myself, oop, I smudged it. I would go back and cut off that part that I didn't want. And back to making another print. I think rolling on the ink is probably my favorite part of the actual print making part. I really like carving the blocks, but when it comes to actual printing, I enjoy the roller. For this print, the phrase, "Is it spooky in here or is it just me?" popped into my head because, normally people will say that about, like, is it cold in here? But, if you're spooky, you never know if you bring the spookiness with you or if it's already there. Dun dun dun. I did kind of fall off of doing Inktober in the second half, and I didn't really have a good reason for it. It was just kind of a matter of motivation, I guess, making myself do it, which is, I don't know, I've kind of been struggling with that the last couple of months. But I feel like I'm kind of starting to get into my stride, maybe. I feel pumped up to make a lot of cool art, especially now that I'm gonna be trying to record the process and post videos of it, so that's gonna be fun. I've wanted to do that for a long time, but I haven't really gotten around to actually doing it. So that is my process for making a print. So I hope you enjoyed it, and please give me a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later.